Hi, folks. We've been invited to the Wakefield Memorial High School for Memorial Day service. The five of us will be going. Yours truly, Morris, Nick Jacoby, Charlie Mackin, Eileen Murillo, and Sal Santaro. Now let's take a look and watch the show.
Um, Good morning and happy Memorial Day, Wakefield Memorial High School. As Mr. Larry O'Leary always says, it's a great day to be a Wakefield Warrior, and in particular on days like today, on occasions like today. We want to welcome our invited guests, students, faculty, and administration. Today, let us not forget and be mindful of the M in Wakefield Memorial High School, a dedication to those men and women who dedicated their lives to uphold the freedoms and liberties we enjoy each day. We have heard the saying, freedom is not free. Well, Abraham Lincoln once said, freedom is the last best hope of earth. Today we are truly humbled and honored to welcome veterans from all branches of the armed forces. They have served our nation from World War II to the current conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as in various locations in the United States and around the world. Be mindful of their courage, integrity, and selflessness. Be mindful and listen as your classmates explain America's history and our symbols of freedom and remembrance. Be mindful of who the real heroes and warriors are in our lives, because they are sitting right in front of you. As we say, they are freedom strong. I do want to take this moment to remember the 4 World War II veterans who have attended the assembly and are not with us today. Mrs. Betty Hayter, Mr. Bernie Doucette, Mr. Roberts, and Mrs. Maureen Burgess's father, as well as 2 other World War II veterans who have been honored last year, J.J. Smith and Mr. Arthur Funai. During his farewell speech in 1989, Ron Reagan told a story of a refugee from Vietnam calling out from his small boat as he was trying to flee Vietnam to come to America. And a ship went by, and he's sitting in his little boat, waving furiously and screaming, "Hello, American sailor. Hello, freedom man." And we always be mindful of America's freedom. As you enjoy the long weekend ahead with family and friends, stop and think of those who have given their lives the ultimate sacrifice. Stop and thank those who have served and continue to serve each day. As singer-songwriter Lee Greenwood sang, "I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men and women who died, who gave that right to me." Happy Memorial Day, Wakefield Warriors. Congratulations, class of 2015. And thank you, veteran warriors. I would like to introduce Elizabeth Germino and Stephen Marino. They are going to be our Masters of Ceremony and Mistress of Ceremony for this morning. Thank you.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our Memorial Day service here at Wakefield High School. My name is Elizabeth Germino, and I'm honored to be your MC for today.
I'm Stephen Marino. I'll be your other MC for the day, and we'd now like to take a minute to recognize Superintendent Zeig, Dr. Smith, other dignitaries, guests, students, and our honored veterans for being here with us today.
And now I'll introduce Mr. Metropolis for the welcome.
Honored guests, Drs. Wright, Dr. Smith, Town Manager Mr. Mayo, Ms. Redding of Veterans Services Affairs, faculty, staff, and of course, students of Wakefield Memorial High School. It is a privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the WMHS administration to our annual Memorial Day Assembly. For the freshmen in the audience, this is the first time you'll be experiencing this special occasion. Our upperclassmen have had an opportunity to be a part of this assembly in various capacities over the years, and I would like you all to take note of the value the sophomores, juniors, and seniors place on being here and sharing this experience with the honored veterans who have joined us today. I would also like to recognize the efforts of Mr. O'Brien, Ms. Lopez, Mr. Rozzi, and all of the other teachers of the Social Studies Department who have contributed to organizing this ceremony. I would like to thank Mr. Bankert and Ms. Morrell and all of the music and choral students for their accompaniment this morning. I know you'll all leave here today with a greater appreciation for the importance of Memorial Day because of the presentations planned for this morning. Thank you all for your attention, and I wish you a safe and enjoyable Memorial Day weekend.
We'd now like to have Maddie Collins and Lydia Bruce come up to explain the meaning of Memorial Day.
For more than 200 years, the American flag has been a symbol for our nation's strength and unity. It is a source of pride and inspiration. The American flag is a prominent icon in our national history. On January 1st, 1776, the Continental Army was reorganized with congressional resolution, which placed American forces under George Washington's control. On that New Year's Day, the Continental Army was laying siege to Boston, which had been taken over by the British Army. Washington ordered the Grand Union flag hoisted up above his base at Prospect Hill. It had 13 alternate red and white stripes and the British Union Jack in the upper left-hand corner.
The flag represents all those who stand together here in the USA who are upholding the same belief in liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, the flag consists of 13 horizontal stripes, 7 red alternating with 6 white. The stripes represent the original 13 colonies. The stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness, valor, and white symbolizes purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice.
And now we'll all rise for the presentation of colors by John Ingalls and Tyler Whipple, accompanied by a drum cadence by Brendan White. The Pledge of Allegiance will be said by Miss Ioshua's G-Block class, accompanied by Mr. Robert Rozzi.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
We'll now have the chamber singers led by Miss Morrell presenting Of Thee I Sing. now be seated. Next, we'll have Amanda Callahan and Jeremy Keegan come up and talk about the meaning of Memorial Day.
Beginning in the 1860s, Decoration Day came as a result of the Civil War as a commemoration to honor the dead who bravely fought to preserve the Union. Known as Memorial Day to us, it is still recognized as a day of remembrance for those who have died serving our country. In 1868, General John Logan declared May 30th, 1868, a day designated to decorate graves of comrades who died defending their country in the late rebellion. Logan chose May 30th because it was not previously known as the anniversary of any particular battle, and flowers would be in bloom across the country. On the first Memorial Day, General James Garfield gave a speech at Arlington National Cemetery to 5,000 Americans, who decorated 20,000 graves of fallen soldiers. In 1873, New York was the first state to recognize Memorial Day, and by 1890, all northern states celebrated the day as well. Following the First World War, Memorial Day became a day of remembering all Americans who died fighting for their country, rather than only Civil War heroes. This allowed for Memorial Day to be recognized by southern states as well. As of today, Memorial Day is celebrated as a nation on the last Monday of every May. Every Memorial Day, the National Moment of Remembrance takes place at 3 p.m. It is a moment of silence dedicated to honor those who have fallen bravely fighting for their country, our country, the United States of America.
What does Memorial Day mean? In recent years, Memorial Day has become just another day off for most people, and the day has lost its true meaning. Memorial Day is supposed to be a day for us, as Americans, to remember our heritage and our history as a nation, and those who fought and gave their lives to protect our freedoms. We were born out of the idea that all men are created equal, that we should all be free. Now, in times of national strife, we need to remember that we are united as a people under one flag, a flag that represents standing up for what you believe, fighting for your rights, and being steadfast when the world is telling you to move. We need to remember where we come from, and we need to cherish it. That is what Memorial Day means, remembering our past and those who have fallen in order to guarantee our rights and freedoms, and holding those memories close to our hearts so we never forget.
And now we will have the importance of the Gettysburg Address read by Akash Altman and Sarah Stump, followed by Matt Honig, Jill Cataldo, Rachel Tamaro, and Sextra Akundaye to recite the Gettysburg Address.
On November 19, 1863, Abraham Lincoln delivered a speech at the site of the bloodiest and most decisive battle of the Civil War. This battle, known as the Battle of Gettysburg, resulted in over 50,000 casualties in total for the Union and the Confederacy. Its result was a major victory for the Union. Coincidentally, this victory was achieved on July 4th. Dave Willis, a local attorney at the time, pushed for the dedication of a national cemetery at Gettysburg, considering the number of fallen soldiers who had already been buried during the battle. Willis was successful in his efforts. In front of a crowd of 15,000, Lincoln delivered what has come to be known as the Gettysburg Address at the official dedication of the National Cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. In less than 2 minutes, Lincoln was able to identify the noble causes for which these men fought and died and the purpose of the Civil War as a whole. While Lincoln was not the official orator of this event, his speech is one of the most significant in our history. His words have stood the test of time and continue to be revered by all.
The Battle of Gettysburg in 1863 was a turning point in the American Civil War, but it is also remembered for the address that Abraham Lincoln gave 6 months afterwards. After a spirited 2-hour speech by former Senator Edward Everett, President Abraham Lincoln followed with a 2-minute address that he considered mediocre at best. It is even said that the president wrote it on the train ride to the Gettysburg Cemetery. At the time, few recognized the immense significance of those 272 words, but in historical context, the Gettysburg Address fundamentally altered the focus and responsibility of the United States government. Lincoln asserted that the Declaration of Independence, not the Constitution, outlined the true expression of the Founding Fathers' intentions for the new nation. He declared the government answerable to the people as a creation of the citizens and not some pawn of a legislature or one man. In one of the most quoted speeches in U.S. history, the president redefined the war as a struggle not only for the Union, but for human equality as well. That all Americans were created equal was a radical thought in 1863, one that we as Americans would do well to hearken to today. The Gettysburg Address was meant as a send-off to those brave soldiers who lost their lives in battle, but it evolved through history to become the true meaning of a more perfect union, the United States of America.
Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address November 19, 1963 at Gettysburg. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war.
We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground.
The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know nor long remember what we say here, but they will never forget what we did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced.
It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth.
Now we'll have a summary of America's wars by Olivia Tamburini, Molly Beth Whitson, Tori Tringali, Caitlin Sartori, Darcy Drago, Issa Cusack, Danielle Benedetto, Sadia Croshaw, Olivia Cabrera, Aaron Lamazny, and Nathan Prosper.
A total of 217,000 U.S. service members fought in the American Revolution during the years from 1775 until 1783. The American Revolution claimed 10,623 American casualties. Casualties are men and women killed, captured, or missing in action throughout engagement with an enemy. There have been over 3 million American casualties throughout America's wars.
The War of 1812 was fought between the years of 1812 to 1815. Nearly 300,000 American servicemen participated in this war. In that time, it claimed for 6,765 American casualties. This year marks the 200th anniversary of the end of the War of 1812.
The Mexican War was an armed military conflict between the United States and Mexico from 1846 to 1848. It caused 17,435 American casualties.
The Civil War lasted from 1861 to 1865, and 780,213 Americans were casualties. Out of 3.25 million service members fought in America's most costly war. This is the 150th anniversary of the end of the Civil War.
The Spanish-American War claimed 4,108 American lives out of the 306,760 that fought between the years of 1898 and 1902.
4,800,000 American soldiers fought in World War I from 1917 to 1918. There were 320,518 American casualties.
Over 16 million brave men and women served during World War II between 1941 and 1945. 1,077,245 American lives were taken during this war, and this year we are celebrating the 70th anniversary to its end.
Over 5 million U.S. servicemen and women served in the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. This war claimed the lives of 150,530 American men and women.
The Vietnam War was fought between 1964 and 1975. Over 8 million U.S. service members fought in the war, and during that time it claimed 243,512 casualties. This year we acknowledge the 40th anniversary of the Vietnam War.
The first Gulf War took place between the years of 1990 to 1991. Over 600 million Americans were casualties among the 2 million that fought.
The global war on terrorism started in 2001 and is still being fought today. Millions of servicemen and women have fought in this conflict, and so far there have been over 10,000 American casualties on September 11th and in Iraq and Afghanistan.
And now we'll have the introduction and acknowledgement of our esteemed guests, our veterans. This will be by Kayla Burns, Melissa Ansaldi, Ty Beck, Sarah Shawia, Max Marchino, Mike Moran, Leo Bryan, Ben Ramsden, Zach Thomas, and Sean Willett.
Please join me in recognizing our veterans here today. I'd like to recognize Carolyn Bowling, who served in the American Legion Auxiliary. And John Bowling, who served in the U.S. Army from 1961 to 1967.
Alicia Redden, who served in the U.S. Navy from 2006 to 2014. Ed Hertz, who served in the Air Force from 1941 to 1945.
Larry Goyette, who was an aviation engineer in the Army, and he is 95 years old. Steve Rowe served in the Marine Corps from 2008 to 2014.
Earl Richard, who served in the U.S. Navy from 1940 to 1946. He's also a Wakefield High School graduate in the class of 1938. Next, Janak Joshi, who served in the U.S. Air Force starting from 2011, and he is still active.
Arthur Wessels, U.S. Army, Korea, from 1952 to 1953. And Eileen Marullo, who was in the Army Medical Corps from 1942 to 1953.
Tom Lyons, he served in the Marine Corps, 1967 to 1970 in Vietnam. Dawn Hart and Pam Hart. Dawn served in the U.S. Navy in Vietnam from 1965 to 1969.
Sal Santro, who served in the U.S. Army in World War II from 1944 to 1946, is 101 years old. Morris, who served served in the U.S. Army Military Intelligence in 1946 through 1948.
Nick Giacobbe, who served in the U.S. Army Infantry in Korea from 1954 to 1956. And Anthony Garcia, who served in the U.S. Army in Korea from 1951 to 1952.
Charles Mackin, who served in the U.S. Navy from 1943 to 1952. And James Longo, who served in the U.S. Army.
Kevin Scott Sheila, served in the U.S. Army from 1989 to 1995. Finally, the wife of a World War II veteran, John Starr, who served in the Army in World War II, my grandmother, Mary Starr.
Kevin Scott Sheeler, who served in the U.S. Army from 1989 to 1995. Jay Pignette, who served in the U.S. Marines from 1973 to 1996. Jim Beebe, who served in the U.S. Army from 1952 to 1954. And finally, Fred Marshall, who served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1975 to 1999 in the First Gulf War. I ask everybody to please rise in recognizing our veterans here today.
Now we will have Armed Forces, the Pride of America, performed by the Wind Ensemble under Mr. Tom Bankert, and we would like to welcome all of our veterans to stand up when their service anthem is played.
Now we welcome Danielle Tremblay presenting the meaning of the taps and Michaela White with the meaning of the national anthem, followed by the taps performed by Mike Meridian and Avery Parise, as well as the national anthem by the chamber singers under the direction of Miss Morel.
Taps is played by the military at burial and memorial services and is still used to signal light out at day's end. It is a 24-note bugle call that is thought to be a revision of a French bugle signal called tattoo. This revision gives us the present-day taps that was made during America's Civil War by Union General Daniel Adams Butterfield. The music was made the official Army bugle call after the war, but was not named taps until 1874. Army infantry regulations by 1891 required taps to be played at military funeral ceremonies, and it will be played across the country in military cemeteries this Memorial Day weekend.
Prior to the performance, we'd like to have Ms. Lopez come up and introduce Alicia Redden.
I think what happened is we get overwhelmed with the music and we wanted more music, so we skipped to taps, when actually I'm supposed to be up here, so I can understand that. That was beautiful. Thank you, Wakefield High School. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker today, but before I do that, Mr. Sal Santoro is with us, and apparently he did not hear, and I really need to acknowledge this just one more time. U.S. Army, 1944 to 1946, and he is 101, we got that part, and he will be 102 next February. So we're very Thank you. All right, so each year we know we gather in this field house to remember and honor those men and women who devoted their lives to protect the very freedoms we're born into. We've already said that, and hopefully today will help us better understand what we learn in our history classes as well, along with the true bravery and courage of our honored guests. The experiences of our guests, this is the real history, and I might add, her story. All right. Each year, Wakefield Memorial High School invites one of our veterans to deliver the Freedom Address. This year, we have the opportunity and the honor of welcoming Wakefield's new Veterans Agent, Alicia Redden, a 2003 Somerville High Culinary Arts graduate and a 2009 North Shore Community College graduate. Upon receiving the associate's degree in drug counseling, Alicia earned a BA in Human Development from Lesley College in 2012, a Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction at Northeastern in 2013, and currently, Alicia is a PhD student at Lesley University studying adult learning and development. In her spare time, Alicia, before entering college, she began her military service, actively serving in 2006 to 2008 in Gulfport, Mississippi with the Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 74 as a heavy equipment officer, deployed as well to Japan and Guam. She served in the Massachusetts Reserves from 2008 to 2014 with the Naval Mobile Battalion 27 as a heavy equipment operator, as well as duties included drug and alcohol advisor, program advisor, and career counselor. Today, Alicia is honored to currently serve as the Veterans Agent for Melrose, Saugus, and Wakefield. Notably, Alicia actively participates in a multitude of local and state organizations, engages in extensive volunteerism and charitable ventures, contributing to community and the individual. Alicia resides in Melrose with her husband and 2 children. Please join me in thanking Alicia for being with us today and thank her for her service.
Hello. She makes me sound really awesome, so hopefully I can follow that up and not be a disappointment. I'd like to start by thanking you all so much for coming here and honoring Memorial Day. In order to better understand why this holiday is so meaningful for me, I'd like to just tell you a little bit about my story. On Friday, May 19th, 2006, I told my parents that I was going to Dunkin' Donuts to get a cup of coffee. I came back 4 hours later and let them know that I had joined the Navy while I was out. My dad was in the Air Force, so I don't think that he was super stoked about the idea, but he went with it. And then I told him that I was going to be operating heavy equipment, and he almost vomited. So I'm not sure if it's because I went Navy over Air Force or the whole construction thing. I don't know what pushed him over the edge, but he got there. So on Memorial Day Monday in 2006, I boarded a plane to Chicago and started this amazing journey. While in the Navy, I was stationed in Gulfport, Mississippi. I arrived there just after Hurricane Katrina and in the midst of recovery operations. During my time there, I served in Japan and in Guam, and I worked in the rock quarries, and I did blasting for various construction projects throughout the Pacific. I lost a dear friend while on that deployment. He left behind his wife, his infant daughter, a heartbroken family, an entire battalion that miss him every day. This death was particularly difficult to manage because his life was taken by one of our own, someone who was suffering from severe mental illness and wasn't sought out, wasn't receiving proper treatment. When we lose someone we love, we each lose a piece of ourselves. And on that day, a piece of all of us died. This was my first experience losing someone very close. Unfortunately, not my last. Memorial Day is unlike any other. We come together in our communities and we honor our veterans by decorating their graves. But we don't come here to mourn them, we come here to praise them, because what they sacrificed allows us to be here today. Excuse me. This doesn't only apply to those who are killed in action or as a result of physical injury, because none of us return home in the same condition in which we left. Injuries may be invisible, but they have long-lasting effects. As part of our Memorial Day traditions, we gather for ceremonies at monuments, which are, for all intensive purposes, concrete. They're rocks. We don't go there to memorialize the rock. We go to remember the people. Thank you. I practiced this like 10 times and cried every time I thought I had it under control, I promise. Even here at Wakefield High, which is a memorial high school and the largest veterans memorial in the entire town, we come here and we have these assemblies, and they are so important. Each veteran in this room has lost someone, a shipmate, a comrade, a brother, a sister. And each of us has left a piece of ourselves on the battlefield. It is said that a hero is someone who has given his or her life for something greater than oneself, and I can't think of a more fitting term when speaking of Memorial Day. The greatest glory of a free nation is the ability for us to transmit that freedom to our children and to theirs. This day was paid for with the lives and the sacrifices of others, and it is our duty and responsibility to ensure that these traditions are preserved and carried on. As a veteran, as a member of this community, I pledge to continue honoring all of those memories of lost soldiers, sailors, and Marines, and I ask you to do the same. I'd like to leave you with a poem by Del Jones called Freedom's Memorial. This day is set aside to honor those who took the chance to die, but they have died in vain if we ever forget the reasons why. Freedom can be like time, slipping away before we even know. But we all have the choice, more a duty, to battle freedom's foe. Let us give thanks this day to all of those brave who have paid the highest cost, and not take it for granted, and realize that it could have easily been lost. Thank you all for having me.
We want to recognize Ms. Redden today for her powerful words and sharing her experience with us and reminding us what the true meaning of Memorial Day is. We want to recognize her on behalf of Wakefield Memorial High School, again, stress on the memorial, and Wakefield Public Schools. We want to present her with a plaque for being our freedom speaker here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So now, for real this time, we welcome Danielle Tremblay doing the meaning of the taps and Michaela White with the meaning of the national anthem, followed by the taps by Mike Moradian and Avery Parise, and the national anthem sung by the chamber singers under the direction of Miss Morel.
Taps is played by the military at burial and memorial services and is still used to signal lights out at day's end. It is a 24-note bugle call that is thought to be a revision of a French bugle signal called tattoo. This revision gives us the present-day taps that was made during America's Civil War by Union General Daniel Adams Butterfield. This music was made the official Army bugle call after the war, but was not named taps until 1874. Army infantry regulations by 1891 required taps to be played at military funeral ceremonies, and it will be played across the country in military cemeteries this Memorial Day weekend.
The Star-Spangled Banner is very well known as the national anthem of the United States. Originally known as the Defense of Fort McHenry, it started as a poem written by Francis Scott Key, a 35-year-old lawyer and amateur poet. He wrote this poem as he looked on at the Battle of Fort McHenry in the War of 1812. The poem became the Star-Spangled Banner when it was set to the tune of the British song To the Anacreon Heaven by John Stafford Smith. It was made the national anthem by a congressional resolution on March 3, 1931, which is signed by President Herbert Hoover. Today, this song symbolizes the ongoing national pride of Americans and is sung at many events to show their patriotism. Please rise for the playing of taps and singing of our national anthem.
Now I'd like to have Mr. McKenna come up and introduce our outstanding senior who will be joining the military next year.
Thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to make this next introduction. You have a high school senior here from Wakefield High School that will be following in the footsteps of these honorees. And this young man has represented himself very well here at Wakefield High School, both as a student and in the community as an Eagle Scout. And he will go on to represent our country very well as a United States Marine. It's my privilege to introduce Alex Mansour.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you John Bowling from the Veteran Organization, who's going to talk to you today about decorating graves throughout Wakefield.
Good morning. I've already been told to keep this short, so that's what we're going to have to do. This afternoon at 4 o'clock, that's 1600 for you fellas over here, at Forest Glade Cemetery, we would like to invite all of you who wish to come and help us decorate graves. Just involves placing the flags in the proper position. So if you're interested, please come over, bring a hammer, and join us. It used to be a time when 4 of us went from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until about 8:30 at night, till it was dark, did this all ourselves. But in the past few years, we've had all of the youth in town and interested citizens join us, and it takes us all of about 25 minutes to do over 2,000 graves down there at Forest Glade. So we'd be happy to see any and all of you there this afternoon to join us to honor our vets. And thank you very much. Bailey, we promise we'll keep it quiet so we don't disturb you. Thank you very much.
And now, before we get dismissed from the Memorial Day service, we'd like our seniors to stand. On your last day here, we'd like to acknowledge everything that you guys have done for our school with a big round of applause.
Okay, folks, I want you to meet the coordinator of the Wakefield High School Veterans Memorial, Ms. Lopez. Say a few words, first of all. Let me thank you for what you did.
We want to thank you because you are the men and women who devoted their lives, sacrificed their lives, so that we can enjoy the freedoms of education and learning and everything that we stand for. I can't take all the credit for today.
No, but I'm going to give it to you, though.
No, we have to give that to the student body, to the music directors, to Mr. O'Brien, to our principal. It takes a community, and obviously it's taken this whole community to put this together every year, and it's just amazing every single year.
I have to tell you, you make us feel so proud and so American.
The music does, the speeches do. It's 100% everyone chips in and makes it a special day.
Thank you.
And thank you. No, we're thanking you today and those who have gone before us.
Right, and I see another lovely lady here. Your name, ma'am?
My name is Paula Gododaro.
Tell us a little about yourself.
I'm a history teacher, and I met these lovely veterans last year, bringing them to this event. And these two lovely, come on over, these two lovely students volunteered to go and pick them up this time, and he's quite entertaining. He's quite a comedian. So we're very happy to have them here. It's a wonderful event. Wakefield students are absolutely wonderful, and we thank you for your service.
We thank you, and I want to thank him because I met this gentleman a year ago, and because of him, we're all here. So why don't you say a few words?
I don't have much to say.
Well, we want to thank you.
Yeah, no, we want to thank you. It's been an honor having you guys here. We'll be thanking everybody today. It's been an honor having you guys here the past 2 years, and we thank you for coming. It's been great. Everyone appreciates it.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you. You're always a pleasure. We thank you all for your service.
Right, and thank you for bringing us here. Okay, Sal, you're 101. God bless you. A veteran of World War II.
Yeah, right, World War II. Yeah, right, I was.
What was it, the Revolutionary War?
Oh, my God, that was beyond my time. I don't remember that one.
Okay, don't go away.
This is my buddy here.
Young lady?
My buddy, the
Don't go
comedian.
away, you're all going to be on. Say a few words. And your name.
Hi, I'm Darcy Draco. What else do I say?
How did you enjoy the ceremony?
I thought it was very cool. It was cool, like seeing everybody and like where they, like what they fought in and what wars they fought in and everything. It was very interesting.
And here we have another lovely lady. Your name, ma'am?
Hi, I'm Olivia Tamburini. This was so beautiful, this whole assembly. I can't believe he's 101.
Yep.
He's just so amazing.
You a senior now? Or you a
Oh, I'm a junior.
Oh, you're a junior.
But we just want to
My
thank
God.
everyone. And
She's only a junior, but we're seniors.
it was a really nice assembly, and happy Memorial Day.
Thank you. And you, young lady?
I'm Lydia Bruce. I thought it was a wonderful ceremony.
And how do you like the veterans from Revere? Aren't we the best of the best?
You're the best.
Right. And you, young lady?
I'm Caitlin Sartori. I just want to thank everyone for coming. It was a great one.
And you? Step right up for them.
I'd just like to thank all of you veterans for coming
Yeah,
today. It was
come here.
amazing. It meant a lot to us as much as it probably did to you.
Open
so
that
thank
up
you so
and I
much.
want you to show it to them. Here we have a young man who's going into the Marine Corps.
Yes, sir.
And you got a nice plaque.
Yes, sir.
Say a few words.
I've just been following a lifelong passion I've had since I was a little kid, and I finally did something about it. I couldn't be more excited. I'm leaving August 24th, and I can't wait.
And a World War II veteran, both of us, the three of us, we want to thank you for going in and doing your service,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, and we salute you. And I want to take the time off to thank Wakefield High School, all the folks there, and there. Thank you for inviting us.